Anyways, how are you guys doing, my loves? If you think I'm a billionaire, you cookie bean. I'm so sorry. If I ever was a billionaire, I wouldn't be a billionaire for more than a day. I would give away most of my money. But I also think that's most people. Do you think someday we'll have a revolution like that in America? Right? It's getting there, right?
We already have one.
Another one.
What's going on?
The wealth disparity is getting bad.
The wage gap, I hate that shit.
No, wealth disparity.
Wealth disparity.
Wage gap is like between men and women. Men and women, we love each other.
Facts.
And we hate the rich. Anyways. Too much.
Aren't you the rich?
No! Like the ultra rich, the ultra giga rich, the unnecessarily
rich. You have to clarify.
Rich.
They're gonna clip that and it's gonna make you look bad.
Oh.
You gotta say the billionaires.
The billionaires.
Because you are rich.
The Bezos.
You can't be saying that.
I am. I'm rich in friendship.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we live in such a self-centered, capitalistic society. And it sucks because it trains us to prioritize work and money above all else, even friendships, even being there for other people. And then, again, it creates this culture where people are like, oh, I don't want to bother them. They're probably busy. Oh, I've heard so many people discuss this, in order to have a village, you need to be a villager. I think that's really true. Like, if you want people to be there for you when you need it, you got to be there for them when they need it. But it's also annoying to even have to like convince someone to be there for you so you can be there for them. It's like, it's a whole myriad of things. One of them, I was actually traveling. I was going to a convention, and then I think the convention was in Boston or something, but I was still using the dating app. So technically I was swiping on people that I could only potentially meet for a weekend. But the weekend ended up being pretty busy. So even though I was texting this guy for like a day or two, couldn't really meet up, and he knew that I was only there for the weekend. So the night before my flight, he just texts me, "We fucking or what?"
No streamer in history has been simultaneously praised as one of the most important creators on the internet and targeted with more sustained, coordinated hatred than Pokimane. She has been hate-rated on stream. She has been copyright-struck, accused of faking relationships, accused of weaponizing her audience, called a snake, called a saint, called a sellout, called an activist. She has been involved in more major streaming controversies than almost anyone, and in almost every single one. You know, she did not start the fight. She has 9 million Twitch followers. She co-founded Offline TV. She left Twitch publicly in 2024. She launched a skincare line. She endorsed a presidential candidate. She appeared in a Hollywood film. And through all of it, 12 years of streaming, she has never been permanently banned from anything. This is the complete story of Pokimane, and it is more complicated and more interesting than any single headline has ever captured. Imane Anis was born on May 14th, 1996 in Morocco. Her mother has Berber ancestry. Her parents, both academics, immigrated to Quebec, Canada when she was 4 years old. French was her first language. She grew up in Ontario. She was a strong student. She got accepted into McMaster University, one of Canada's most prestigious institutions, and started a degree in chemical engineering. That detail matters, because the narrative that Pokimane is somehow not serious, not intelligent, or not strategic does not survive contact with her actual background. In June 2013, at 17 years old, she created her Twitch account and started streaming League of Legends. The early years were unremarkable by the standards of what came later. She was consistent, she was engaging, and she kept going. By 2017, she had 450,000 Twitch followers, placing her in the top 100 most followed accounts on the platform. Then she made a decision that would define her career. She paused her degree at McMaster to go full-time as a content creator. At the time, that was a genuinely risky choice. Streaming was not yet the mainstream career path it would become. Academic parents, chemical engineering degree, dropping it to play games on the internet. It turned out to be one of the best career decisions in streaming history. Between 2017 and 2020, Pokimane became the most followed female streamer on Twitch, and one of the most followed streamers, period. She rode the Fortnite boom perfectly. She transitioned from League of Legends into Fortnite at exactly the right moment, built a massive new audience, then diversified into just chatting, Valorant, and reaction content. She adapted faster than almost anyone. She was one of the founding members of Offline TV, a collaborative content creator house based in Los Angeles that became one of the most influential creator organizations in streaming history. Fellow offline TV members include Disguised Toast, Valkyrie, Sykkuno, and Lily Pichu. The group's collaborative content was a defining part of streaming culture from 2018 through the early 2020s. In March 2020, she signed a multi-year exclusivity deal with Twitch. At the time, 8.5 million followers, one of the most recognizable faces in gaming content globally. In October 2020, she collaborated with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilan Omar, and other streamers on an Among Us stream to promote voting in the US election. One of the first major examples of a mainstream political figure treating streaming as a legitimate platform for political outreach. The stream drew massive viewership and made national news. In October 2019, it was announced she would appear in the film Free Guy, released in August of 2021, directed by Sean Levy and starring Ryan Reynolds, a Hollywood film featuring a Twitch streamer playing herself. In October 2021, she co-founded RTS, a talent management and brand consulting firm, where she serves as chief creative officer. By any measure, audience, cultural impact, business, mainstream crossover, Pokimane had built something extraordinary, and the internet was not going to let her have it quietly.
Sorry, that makes me so sad. Like, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I'm just really sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I know I can just say that, but like, holy crap, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I haven't ever felt so much regret about anything in my whole life, and I can't believe it. I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid.
Here is something that gets lost in individual controversy coverage: the sheer sustained nature of the targeting Pokimane has faced across her career. It started early. In 2018, a clip resurfaced from 2013, when she was underage, in which viewers alleged she had used a racial slur. She had actually mispronounced a League of Legends character name, Anivia, but the clip spread. She addressed it, explained the context, noted she had been a minor in the clip. The community remained divided. Also in 2018, she issued a copyright strike against a YouTuber named Blacks for using her footage in a video critical of her, and received significant backlash for what many saw as using legal tools to silence criticism. She also threatened to strike a video by a creator named Fainted, who had criticized her. These decisions followed her for years. In 2020, a YouTuber named Leafy Is Here posted a series of videos targeting her, mocking her content and appearance, and threatening to expose a relationship she had kept private. His YouTube channel was subsequently banned. Pokimane was quick to publicly state she had nothing to do with the ban, but the association, fair or not, stuck. Then, in 2022, came the most significant harassment incident of her career. On January 12th, 2022, Pokimane was streaming Valorant with fellow stars Valkyrie, Quarterjade, and others when she noticed a wave of new viewers in her chat, spamming L+ratio. The hate raid had been directed by a streamer named JiDion, who had instructed his own community to go harass her channel. Pokimane ended her stream early, saying, "I think I am going to end stream because, as much as I can deal with this, I don't like that people from his stream are whispering people on my stream. I am tired of being Incel's punching bag." The consequences for JiDion were swift. First a 14-day ban, then a permanent ban. But what came next was almost as significant as the raid itself. After the hate raid, Pokimane went public with something that turned a harassment story into a much bigger confrontation. She alleged that Tyler Ninja Blevins, one of the most famous streamers in the world, had used his connections to try to help JiDion avoid the ban. Specifically, she said that during one of his own streams, Ninja had appeared to text his Twitch representative in an attempt to get JiDion's punishment reduced. She also pointed out that during that stream, Ninja had referred to female streamers, quote, as bitches, and she asked the question publicly. I wonder if Ninja would have said bitches if it was a large male streamer who was raided. Ninja denied the allegations. His wife and manager Jessica Blevins said he never reached out to anyone at Twitch to support JiDion, called the characterization actively harmful, and said they were taking the situation very seriously at the highest level. Ninja threatened legal action against Pokimane over her claims. Pokimane later said she was willing to accept that Ninja may have pretended to text his Twitch representative, rather than actually doing so, but said she had wanted the clip out there, regardless. The situation was never definitively resolved. No legal action was filed, but the exchange exposed something important: the way that even when Pokimane is the victim of harassment, the conversation quickly becomes about whether her response to that harassment was appropriate. She was hate-rated. Her viewers were harassed. harassed. And within a week, she was the one defending herself against legal threats. That pattern, where Pokimane's response to being targeted becomes the controversy, is one of the defining dynamics of her entire career. To be fair to the critics, and fairness matters here, not every controversy Pokimane has been involved in was something that happened to her. Some of it she genuinely caused. The copyright strike situation in 2018 is the most documented example. Using legal tools, DMCA strikes and copyright claims, to remove critical content is a legitimate complaint. Regardless of the content of the videos in question, using copyright as a silencing mechanism is a practice that the streaming and YouTube community broadly considers unacceptable. She faced significant and justified backlash for it. In 2020, during a period when she was publicly single, it emerged she had been in a secret relationship with a fellow creator for years. The reaction from her audience was intense, not primarily because she had a relationship, but because she had allowed fans to believe she was single while apparently not being so. For a creator whose audience parasocial connection was a significant part of her brand, the gap between perception and reality landed hard. She addressed it, she moved on, but the trust damage with a section of her audience was real. In 2024, she was dropped by a brand partner, the details of which were not fully made public, which generated another wave of speculation and criticism. She did not make a detailed public statement about the specifics, and in January 2026, a new controversy emerged involving her and fellow streamer Extra Emily, which was still unfolding at time of filming. The details were circulating on X, Twitch, and Reddit, with significant community discussion about both creators' roles in the situation. I am going to cover the Extra Emily situation in a dedicated video because it deserves its own full breakdown. Link will be in the description when that video is live. But the point is, Pokimane is not a blameless figure. She has made decisions that deserve criticism. The most credible version of her story includes both the legitimate targeting she has faced and the moments where her own choices created the controversy. On January 30th, 2024, Pokimane announced she would stop streaming on Twitch, saying she was done with Twitch's messy behavior and citing the changes the company had made in recent years. The announcement landed differently than most streamer departures because Pokimane had been one of Twitch's most prominent defenders and one of its most recognizable ambassadors for over a decade. When she left, it was not a small creator walking away. It was Twitch losing one of its defining faces. She has continued streaming, but across platforms, without the Twitch exclusivity that had defined her career. In October 2024, she and Valkyrie hosted a live stream featuring Senator Bernie Sanders in support of the Kamala Harris presidential campaign. As a non-US citizen, she cannot vote in American elections, but she chose to use her platform to publicly advocate. The reaction split along predictable political lines. In March 2025, she appeared in the music video for D4VD's song What Are You Waiting For?, continuing her crossover into mainstream entertainment. In 2024, she launched Pokicakes, a skincare line, expanding her entrepreneurial footprint beyond streaming and talent management. And through all of it, the business, the advocacy, the departures and returns, her Twitch following has reached 9 million, despite not exclusively streaming there. Despite publicly criticizing the platform, 9 million followers who have not left. That is not an accident. That is the result of 12 years of consistent, strategic, sometimes messy, always present content creation. Here is the thing I keep coming back to when I think about Pokimane's career as a whole. She has been one of the most targeted creators on the internet for 12 years. The targeting has been sustained, organized, and often explicitly misogynistic. Hate raids, coordinated harassment campaigns, years of exposed content designed to destroy her reputation. And she is still here, with 9 million Twitch followers, a management company, a skincare line, a film credit, a 12-year streaming career. That is not just resilience. That is something more specific. The ability to maintain an audience through repeated controversy without the controversies becoming definitively career-ending. And the reason for that, I think, is that her audience has always been able to separate Pokimane made a mistake from Pokimane is irredeemable. The copyright strikes in 2018 were a mistake. She did not repeat the pattern. The secret relationship was a trust issue with a section of her community. She addressed it and moved forward. And the harassment she has has faced the JiDion raid, the ninja confrontation, years of coordinated targeting, was not of her making, and the community that stayed with her through that recognized the difference between someone who makes mistakes and someone who is being targeted because they exist and are successful. But here's the uncomfortable question the Pokimane story raises. If the same career, the copyright strikes, the relationship controversy, the sustained controversies, had belonged to a male streamer, would 12 years of it have produced the same level of sustained, coordinated hatred? I genuinely do not think so. And I think that gap between what Pokimane has faced and what comparable male streamers in similar situations have faced is one of the most honest illustrations of how gender still operates in streaming culture in 2026. That is not a political take. It is just what the documented evidence shows. Pokimane is still streaming, still building, still somehow still at the center of new controversies in 2026. And the debate about her, whether she is a victim, a strategist, both, or neither, is one that the streaming community has been having for years without resolution. I want to know where you land. Is Pokimane the most unfairly targeted creator in streaming history? Or has she contributed to her own controversies enough that the criticism is fair? Or, and this is the take I find most interesting, is it genuinely impossible to separate those two things in her case? Drop your honest take below. I read every comment. Subscribe for the full Extra Emily and Pokimane breakdown coming next, and every other major creator story covered at this depth. See you in the next one.